We have a gigantic abandoned warehouse in the outskirts of our town. It used to be a depot for some chemicals, I hear, but some people claim the warehouse was actually used as a temporary storage for government-backed medical experiments. I don't know which version of the story is correct, but all you need to know is that there are many unsettling rumors regarding the actual use that the warehouse once had. Before I continue with the story, I have to tell you that I'm not originally from this town. My father moved us out here when I was 12, and that was 5 years ago, so that makes me 17 today. The kids in this town have a lot of stories about the warehouse. Think monsters, disgusting looking creatures, and the ones that eat people. That sort of nasty stuff and nothing all too pleasant. When I first moved out here, I thought they were trying to scare me because I'm the new kid in town. But that wasn't it at all. Kids around here actually believe in all those things, and having me around was kind of fun for them. It was an opportunity for them to relieve the terror of the warehouse through me by telling me of all the horrible things that supposedly happened there. Isn't it funny how people love to be scared the wits out of them? I mean, that's the reason why I've subscribed to your channel. I watch some of your videos and sometimes get really scared to be out alone at night. I say to myself, I'm never watching another scary video at night, but then I go right back to watching your next upload at midnight. It's kinda like light masochism if you think about it. Anywho, I don't know if it was the effect of my friends telling me all those scary stories, or if I had really seen something. But in the 5 years that I lived here, I have seen some weird things on rare occasions. For example, I'll be walking back home after hanging out with Mikey, my best friend. I'm not really scared, nor am I thinking of any monster attacking me. So it's not an imagination, but out of nowhere, I see something huge fly across the sky. Now, when I say huge, I mean a creature at least twice the size of an eagle. If you've never seen an eagle close up, they have enormous wingspans. They are quite intimidating creatures. So imagine something twice the size flying up in the sky. That's scary as hell. Have you ever seen an eagle or a condor eat their prey? They pin down their prey with their deadly talons, then they literally peck their prey to death if the prey is lucky. Because normally, the prey get eaten alive. If I were a tiny prey and I had a choice to be eaten by either a shark or an eagle, I'll choose shark every single time. Sorry, too much National Geographic there. But yeah, I've seen huge bird-like creatures flying up in the sky, dark, long, slinky figures climbing the sidings of homes. But the last one I saw, now that one was truly horrifying. My mom and I were coming back from the city this one night. We had to get some stuff for my school project, and the shop in our town didn't have those. We get off at the last exit to our town, and we were about to merge into a single-lane traffic when out of nowhere something rammed us from the side and our car flipped on its roof. It happened so fast that neither mom or I saw what hit us. But when the car was tipped upside down with both mom and I dangling from the seatbelt, we saw it. The creature was standing on its fours, and it had abnormally huge shoulders and chest. It looked at us and it huffed like it was angry. I was really scared that it might ram us again, but it ran off when it saw the headlights from another car that was nearing us. Seconds later, a gentleman got out of his pickup truck and helped us get out of the car. I didn't even have a scratch on me, but mom had cuts and bruises all over her body. Still though, what's important is that we both got out of it fairly intact considering the circumstances. When the police came, we just told them that we saw a big animal run off after ramming our vehicle. Basically, we didn't go into full detail of how gigantic it was, and more importantly, how it was an animal that we've never seen before. It was really amusing how mom and I didn't even rehearse the whole thing, but we pretty much told the same story. The same vague half-truths that wouldn't make us look like crazies. Mom and I talked about it a lot in the coming weeks, but like everything else in life, we stopped thinking about it less and less as the days went by. I haven't seen another creature since then, But in this town, the next encounter could be right around the corner. My dad got a new job in Seattle and will be moving away from here soon. I'm actually very happy about the move. Mom hasn't said much about it, but I'm sure she too is very much looking forward to getting out of this town. There are many strange places on this planet, and you won't believe how truly weird they are until you actually live in one of those places. For your sake, I hope you don't. In the spring of 2014, my wife had a miscarriage and our relationship quickly took a turn for the worse. I spent half a year trying to get Anna to open up to me about the heartache that was tormenting her, but it was of no use. Then, for some unknown reason, something just clicked one day. Anna made a big turnaround and she wanted to make our marriage work again. A year later, in 2015, we decided we were going to try to get pregnant again. At the time, we were residing in a suburb in Texas. The town was quiet, safe, and with many friendly neighbors. It was really a perfect place to raise a child, but Anna's point was that we needed to have a child first in order for that town to truly be perfect for us. She felt that being closer to nature would be our best bet to have a successful pregnancy. I didn't argue and supported her decision. After 3 months of searching for a new home, we have finally found a property in a small town outside of Texas. It used to be a ranch and it would provide us with plenty of space for everything. The price was reasonable and I loved that, so we made an offer and got the property. Once we settled in, I used the barn as my office of sorts. I work as a carpenter, mostly restoring old and valuable furniture. The barn was the perfect place to set up shop. Anna settled in nicely as well. She began working on the garden almost right away, and she had lots of projects planned for the house. The first couple of months, things couldn't have gone any better. Anna seemed to have gone back to her old self. I had more work coming in than I could handle, and everything felt perfect. Well, except for the occasional nightmare Anna was having, but that's just nitpicking really. I began to notice some changes in Anna after about 4 months in the house. Maybe the changes were gradual and that's why I didn't notice it at first, but it was really pronounced by the 4th month. She'd go completely silent for 1 or 2 hours at a time. I'd ask her what was wrong and why she wasn't talking to me, but she would say nothing back. Absolutely nothing. In fact, she would often leave the house so she wouldn't even have to acknowledge me. She'd be ready to speak to me again after her usual 2 hours of walk in the woods, but even then she refused to discuss what was bothering her. Day by day, I could feel the distance between us widening. We talked less, we smiled less, and happy moments were far in between. By the 6 months, we began sleeping in separate rooms, but strangely enough, she was still trying for a baby. She would come into my room at night and behave like a completely different woman. The same Anna who refused to even look at me during daytime would suddenly be trying to seduce me when the sun goes down. I obliged at first, but began to refuse her after a few days. It just didn't sit right with me. It felt like I was being used to conceive her and nothing more. I wanted us to conceive a child out of love and not out of lust, if that makes sense. Then came month 8, and I remember it as the most horrible period of my life. Anna stopped looking after herself. She stunk because she refused to take showers. She stunk even more because she refused to change clothes. She would spend hours at a time in the attic doing God knows what, but at least I didn't have to smell her when she was up there. She also had further behavioral changes, and not for the better. When my mother-in-law came over on that month, it was like Anna didn't even recognize the woman who gave birth to her. She passed her by as if she didn't even see her. My mother-in-law tried to speak to her, wash her, and even tried to take Anna with her for a while, but nothing was getting through to Anna. I was actually ready to check her into an institution, but my in-laws were very much against that. It's easy to be compassionate when you're not the one dealing with the mess on a daily basis. They had no idea how arduous it is to live with someone who had gone completely deranged. At the worst point of our relationship, it had come to a point where Anna would actually use violence against me. I'd be in my barn working on my projects, Anna walks in, stares at me with her hateful eyes, and suddenly comes charging at me with one of my tools in her hands. It's one thing to defend yourself against an unarmed woman, but it becomes a completely different ballgame when someone attacks you with a weapon. Things become even more convoluted when you have to protect yourself and at the same time protect your attacker, that attacker being my wife. After 40 stitches and 2 fractured ribs, I was resigned to the reality that Anna had truly gone insane. I had all of Anna's family members come over, and they too had to accept that Anna needed professional care. We had her institutionalized, and not long after that, I put the house back on the market. I had an open house one weekend, and the last person to look at the house was an old gentleman. He seemed wealthy, seeing as how he drove in a Bentley. He looked around the house, came back out onto the front yard when it was done, and then we began talking. He offered $1.5 million for the property. That's $500,000 more than the best offer I received up to that point, and $600,000 more than the price I paid when I bought it. He already knew that he made the best offer and simply told me that overpaying for the property was worth it to him. I asked him why, and he was reluctant to say his reason at first, but his eyes lit up when I told him about the happenings with Anna, and they began talking excitedly. He told me that the ranch had a dark history. Multiple dark histories if you count all the different families who have experienced tragedies in that house. They all involved the mothers of the household, and each and every one of them had gone insane. Me telling him about Anna was basically a confirmation that he was buying the right house. It makes it the right house because the gentleman's actually a collector of haunted houses. He refused to say what he does with them, and they refused to go into the origin of the haunting. You know, how it all began. I tried to look into it on my own, but everyone in town who were alive when the ranch was originally built had already perished long ago. That chapter of my life has sadly come to a close. Anna's still in the institution, and so she's not gotten better. I finally decided to get a divorce and move on with my life. I wish it didn't have to be this way, but there's nothing that I can do to help Anna if what she has is a mental issue, and there's even less that I can do for her if she truly had been possessed by something in that house. If only we would have never moved there. I wonder if Anna would still be okay today. Hey guys, Dennis here. Thank you all for showing your support in the last video with a thumbs up. Positive ratings are a big deal for channels like mine. We tend to publish contents that are frowned upon by YouTube, and your show of support not only means a great deal to us as content creators, but they also help us stay alive and relevant on this platform. I don't want to take any more of your time, I just wanted to thank you, and that's all. I hope you're having a pleasant day. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.